Hi everyone. Today's lesson is on multiplying integers. What I need you to know or remember is that multiplying is just repeated addition. So if we take two groups of three, we're actually taking 3 plus 3, okay? So knowing that multiplication is repeated addition, we can do the same thing when we do integers. So if we think about our integer cards and our integer game, if we have three groups of -2, it's the same thing as saying -2 plus -2 plus -2. And if we have three groups of -2, -2 plus -2 is -4, -4 plus 2 is -6. So three groups of -2, 3 times -2 equals -6. So this is like saying we're picking up three groups of -2. So the next one I have here is -5. There are 4 times we're going to pick up a -5 card. So if we want to pick up 4 groups of -5, that's -5 plus -5 plus -5 plus -5. So 5 and 5 is -10, -5, -5. And then 2 more -5s is -20. So 4 groups that we pick up of -5 would be -20. Okay, so pretty simple there. If we pick up these cards, we're going to have more negatives in our hand. So here we have 3 groups of -2, but now what I want you to look at is that if we are discarding these 3 groups of -2, so we have these cards in our hand, and we know from before that this is -6 in our hand right now. So what would happen if we would discard one of these 2's? So we're going to cross that 2 off, and we had -6, and we're going to take away a -2, which would leave us, well, which would mean -6 plus 2. Remember, when we take away a negative, that's going to be adding, and we end up with a -4 in our hand. So what happens again now if we take away another -2 right here? We have -4, take away another -2, which is -4 plus 2 again. Remember, when we discard a negative, our hand increases. So we end up with a -2 in our hand. And if we take another -2, discard it again, we're getting rid of another -2. -2 minus a -2 is the same as -2 plus 2, because our hand increases again. We end up with nothing left in our hand. So we're saying that taking away these 3 -2's, or discarding 3 groups of -2's, will actually increase our hand by 6 points, okay? So we're getting 6 extra in our hand when we get rid of 3 -2's. So this is discarding, this is picking up. So how do we show discarding? Let me move this over for you. Okay, so here we've discarded these 3 -2's. 1, 2, 3. So we're going to show discarding by a negative. So if we discard 3 groups of -2, that actually increases our score by 6. So this is going to be a +6. A negative times a negative is a positive. So here we have another group. We have 4 -5's. So if I decrease or discard all of these -5's, that's like saying -4, I'm going to discard 4 groups of -5, and that's going to increase my hand by 20 points. So that's going to be an increase of 20. Okay, so let me have you try these. Pause your video for a minute, and let's see if you can do this. So the first number would be whether you're going to pick up the card or discard the card. So this says you're discarding 4 groups of 3. This one says you're discarding 6 cards of -4. And this one says you're picking up 3 cards of -3. You're picking up 5 cards of -3. Okay, let's see if you can get that. Okay. So if I discard 4 groups of 3, my hand is actually going to go down 3 times 4. That's negative 12. If I discard 6 cards of negative 4, when I discard a negative, what happens to my hand? It goes up. So it's actually going to go up 6 times 4, which is 24. And then if I pick up 5 cards of negative 3, my hand is going to go down 5 times 3 times, 5 times 3, which is a negative 15. Okay, so if you have any questions right now, questions, I want you to write down questions for me to answer when we come back. Okay. Next thing, what if there are more than 2 integers? That makes a difference, doesn't it? If there's more than 2 integers, how do I know what to do? I know that if I pick up and then if I discard, what to do, but what if I do more than one thing at once? So what we have to do is think about it as 2 numbers at a time. So we're going to think about this here first. Okay, we're always going to take it one step at a time. So if I discard 2 negative 3s, what happens to my hand? I take away 2 negative 3s, that's a positive 6, and then I bring the next one down. 6 times 5 is 30. Okay, and then here, if I discard 4, if I discard 3 4s, discard 3 4s, that's going to bring my hand down. 3 times 4, that's a negative 12. Okay, now I need to look at it one step at a time again. You don't have to do these squiggly lines, you know, I'm just showing you that this is what I'm doing. So if I discard 12 2s, that's also going to bring my hand down. I'm getting rid of a positive, 12 positive 2s, that's going to be a negative 24. Now it says I'm going to discard 24 negative 1s. So if I get rid of 24 negative 1s in my hand, that's actually increasing my hand by 24 points. That one equals a positive 24. Okay, your turn. Pause the video, try to see if you can do these on your own, and then come back. All right, so we're back. Negative 3 times negative 1 times negative 4. If we take that one at a time, negative 3 times negative 1, I'll put parentheses around it this time. Negative 3 times negative 1, a negative times a negative. When we discard a negative card, it increases our score. So 3 times 1 is positive 3. Then we're going to multiply by a negative 4, and if I pick up 3 cards of negative 4, that's going to decrease my hand by 12. Okay, the next one, 2 times negative 3. If I pick up 2 negative 3s, that's going to decrease my hand by 6. And then if I discard 6 negative 5s, that's going to increase my hand. 6 times 5, which is 30. Okay, any questions again? Write down your questions. You should have 2 questions to come back to me with. Give them to me when you come back to school, and we'll go over the questions in class. Have a good night.